Good morning, everybody. How are you today? 8th of March. Happy International Women's Day to all you wonderful women artists out there. Hope you're alright. If I sound like I'm either in a tumble dryer or the back of an aeroplane, it's because I've got the hot air blower on, because this room is freezing this morning. I'm all alone in the building. I know. Oh. And I, I'm rather chilly. So I've had to warm up however I can, and this is the only way. Now I'm trying something at a minute, so it might not work. Something might. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, it has worked. Um, so yeah, chilly morning. I have got more paint on my tile. I should spin it round really, because I'm working from the shop today. So I've got the colours. The colours are on the screen. They're in a different order on my tile because, I write the colours out before I squeeze them out, and I don't listen to myself. You know what it's like. Because I've got phthalo blue and ultramarine, and they look very similar when they're squeezed in solid form, don't they? So that's what the issue is there. I've sketched it out. River Swale. I haven't sketched it out. I've traced it. I'm sorry, I lie. I haven't. I've been spending all morning trying to redirect a parcel to the shop. I had the we tried to deliver but you weren't in card, and the post office online, it won't let me redirect to any other address, and I've had to ring them and say, but I'm non-essential retail. I'm going to be shut. So whether you redirect it tomorrow or if you redeliver on Wednesday or Friday or whenever, I'm still not going to be here. So, and they went, oh yes, I see your problem. So they're redirecting it to my house. Watch me not be in. Watch me be here when they deliver. Although the postman seems to forget I have an address, and he always leaves it with the Land Rover garage. So I should be all right. I'm better off having the parcels at home while I'm not here. Well, I hope you're all right and you've had a good weekend. It's rather chilly, rather cold, and I've just had a severe warning of wind. Not myself, but on my phone. Um, I'll just wait for a few of you to join. I'll start at 5 past. Let's get some bird song on. I'm a bit snuffly today. It must be hay fever, tree pollen. But I do hope you're well. I've got what have I got today? I've got lemon and... No, I haven't. I've got jasmine and green tea today, because it was just the nearest thing I could grab to try and get my cockles warmed. Blimey. Cold. Yes. Brr. Well, sorry for sniffing right down the microphone. I do apologise. We will have Jackie joining, but I may well... Oh, she may not be here by the time the demo ends today, because the kids have all got to have rapid COVID tests ready for starting back at school, and they're in different year groups, so they've got different times to be in and different things. So lots of queuing, lots of waiting, lots of frustration, lots of boredom. But she is coming. Good, I'm glad you're alright, Louise. It's always good to know. I will jump on Discord shortly. Oh, do you know, you can tell what a weird technophobe I am. I've only just discovered the joys of cloud saving documents in the cloud. Oh, it's made my life so much easier. I upload something at home, and I can access it on my phone, and I can access it from the laptop here. So it's really, really cool. I've been reluctant to do it. None of it's important. Nobody can steal any of my information from it. It's only shop classes and photos and things. So, and it's ultra secure. I didn't realise I was paying for it anyway, so I might as well use it. And it saves me having to carry hard drives everywhere, or USB sticks and all of that kind of thing. Okay, so let me plug my ear in. Yeah, that's fine. I may have missed it. I get a bit finger happy, you know, when I'm loading everything on, so it may not appear on Shop Happy. I don't know. I ain't got a clue. It feels like 30 years ago since I uploaded all of those. I'll be doing a new one for the July to December one soon. I've subject to change and check and change. I've spent the whole weekend after my demo on Saturday finalising all of the July to December classes. Oh, talk about square eyes. Right, let's get on Discord. Good morning, Chris, Robert and Anne. How are you? Morning, morning. Chilly, isn't it? Oh gosh, no, not in here, not in this building. It's not. It's like a fridge. It's really cold, but it's because nobody's in here. It's the only times as the heater goes on is on a Monday or Wednesday or Friday morning when I'm in, and then it's not really inhabiting. So I wasn't cold outside. I'm colder inside than outside. But as it's flashed up my phone, severe wind for Wardington. Yeah, a bit windy. Oh God, have they? What, McDonald? I will avoid that way on my way home. Oh, honestly. Terrible. Terrible. They don't need it on. They don't need a special offer at McDonald's. The amount of people queuing there, they should be able to retire. Every member of staff should be on more than minimum wage there. Yes, it's not my favourite. It's not my go-to. I'd rather have a Domino's pizza. They don't deliver to me. But I have to say, there is a place in Banbury. If you don't mind pizza, if you like pizza, there's quite a swish place, and they work from the kitchen of the Wheat Sheaf, I think. But they are looking for their own premises, and it's called Uprise Pizza. And they make their pizza bases are made more like a flatbread rather than a thick, heavy dough. So they're much lighter. And they even do like a hoisin duck pizza, so you can have hoisin sauce, duck, and spring onion on it. So it's like, it really is. It's nice. They're not mega expensive. They're the only pizza I've managed to eat and not feel absolutely bloated all the way through, because the dough is not really thick and stodgy. It's really nice, and they're all handmade on site, which is really nice. Okay, so I ought to do a demo. I've got the colours. I've got ultramarine. I'm using phthalo blue, or you could use cerulean, lemon yellow, yellow ochre, burnt sienna. Although there's not really much burnt sienna, maybe I shouldn't have squeezed it out. And cadmium red. So let me paint the sky. There's not much of it, so that's good. And let me wet this bit. I've not got the curtains open this morning. I hurtled into town this morning. And then I've been dealing with the post office, so I've not had the usual time to do stuff. So we want a bit of a mixture of blues. It's mainly phthalo or cerulean. We'll put a bit of ultramarine in there. Make it nice, vibrant and sunny, like it is outside today. I might do a few clouds. I like a cloud. Oh, thank you. No, it was quite nice to do. I do like alkids, to be honest, because they dry so quickly. But yeah, it was nice just to see everybody's response on the demo. Actually, for a lot of people were not sure about oils, and some had only just learned acrylics, and so yeah, it was quite nice to chat about it all to them. I'm going to add a tiny little bit of cadmium red. I'm going to scoop over a little bit that's on my brush, add a bit of cadmium red to this blue so it'll go a grey, just so I can add a little bit of shade in the cloud. I don't want a lot, but where's the light coming from? The light's coming from the left, so let's just dilute the tip of my brush and just have some soft purple playing away with a little bit of the cloud. There we go. Give the brush a clean. Well, yeah, mine was a mix of phthalo and ultramarine, but yes, it was nice and punchy. I thought we'd go for a punchy sky today. Managed to get my car booked in for an MOT and service next door to my house, so that's really nice and handy. Because I said to them, I said it's here more than it's elsewhere, and I really don't want to sit in town for a whole day while I'm just waiting for my car to be serviced at Halfords or any other garage. And I said, since I live next door to a garage, I know you do Land Rovers, but can you do my car? And they went, yeah, of course. Because it's only going to be an oil change and a check of the filters and just check everything's working. They will still take my money, and it's a little bit more. Although, actually, do you know what was really cool? The last time they serviced the car years ago, my windscreen wipers blades had gone, so they replaced them. They're a Land Rover. I had Land Rover blades. Oh gosh, it was amazing. They were broader and chunkier. They were more expensive, but they seem to do the trick really nicely. I'm just gonna wet under the bridge where the green bit is, because I want a slightly soft. I want it sunny, but I want a slightly softer green there because the bush and the grass in the front, the tree, they're going to be a little bit stronger. So let me go with a bit of ultramarine and some lemon. It's very lemony. I've had to make sure I've gone with I definitely picked the ultramarine and not the phthalo blue, because you can imagine how vibrant the green would be with the phthalo blue. And lemon yellow, it would be just, well, just very sunny, I suppose. Yeah, that's no problem, Louise. We can sort you out with the varnish. But, you know, the whole varnishing acrylics thing is something that I only recently learned because of what was going on with David Hockney's pieces. So, you know, I think a lot of artists don't bother with acrylics, because I remember chatting to a lady in, oh gosh, in Paperway, so that's how long ago it was. I'm just adding a little bit more ultramarine in places to have some slightly darker lines, and she asked if how stable acrylics were when, you know, did they run or anything. And I remember getting a sponge with turpentine on it and rubbing it all over an acrylic piece I'd done, and it didn't shift the colour at all. And I said, look how amazing it is. But obviously the thing is, when Hockney painted his acrylics, it was a long time ago, and acrylics have moved on since then somewhat. However, we don't know how much they've moved on, because we're not, you know, 40, 50 years down the line of the modern acrylics, so we just we don't know how they're going to work. And as much as I'd like to hope that they don't need varnishing and they won't open into microscopic pores like Hockney's work, we don't know enough about it. So it's always safer to give it a varnish if it's something going somewhere fancy, just to seal it. I'm going to go, I'm going to make a dark colour with cadmium red and phthalo blue. Sort of purple grey. We've made this colour before, and I just want to run it underneath. I'm going to get the hairdryer on this in a minute, but just to create little slightly darker shadows. In amongst that, we'll probably use this colour again, but it just changes it up a little, varies what's going on. It's all still damp because I can't really do the castle and the bridge until the sky's dry. But to be honest, I think I'll do all the greens first and then play around. I obviously have missed off where there is some green on here in the sky. Let me just get the hairdryer on this for a second, because I will work on all of the greens. Hair dried all of my brushes off the table. So I'm going to quickly work on, let's clean that brush just a little because it's quite dark green. If I add a little bit more yellow, lemon yellow, over this area on the right hand side, it will go darker green because the blue's already behind it. You could even just put neat yellow on if you wanted. I'm just using the squirrel because it's easier. If you want a slightly darker green, add a bit more blue for the darker one up here. We might let them merge a little bit. Keep it fairly loose. Now, the colours I'm mixing, I'm going to have to try and either keep them or remember how I got them, because when we do the reflection it's all going to be wet in wet, so it will be easier to know what we did. So I'm going to flit delicately over to this side, and I'm going to cover, this is all lemon and ultramarine, but very lemony. As a good light coat, we've got a little bit more of that over here. Bit of green there, nice and vibrant. slightly darker with the same colour. Yeah, with a bit more ultramarine in there. And because the light's coming from the right, it doesn't matter that that there are sections that are still damp here. It's fine, I'm not worrying about it at all. You could use a little stipply brush if you wanted, because this is a very large expanse of foliage. I tell you what, I've just started, well, I've nearly finished it because I watched it all weekend. There's only 6 episodes. You probably all saw it when it was on telly. The White House Farm series that was on, you know, with the White House Farm murders. I think I watched it. Well, I was planning on watching it last year when it came out, but I probably recorded it, then needed Skybox room, so I deleted them. But it's on Netflix now. Really interesting and fascinating because they're a true story, isn't it? I'd have only been quite young, but then you see, I grew up near where I lived. Was in the 70s, so before I was born, or the year or two up before I was born, there was the Carl Bridgewater murder. Do you remember that, with the paper boy that got killed murdered on a farm? Carl Bridgewater, and that was sort of on the Staffordshire Black Country border. So I used to have to drive past that farm all the time as a kid. Well, with my dad driving, obviously. So, just dropping in different shades of greens. Leaving some of the light, but it doesn't matter if you just sort of mix them about. And we're going to keep going darker. The majority it's all about this greenery, and whether I can get it done in the time frame, because even though it's just one tree, it's a massive tree. So let's go with a little bit more ultramarine now into the lemon. If it starts going a bit emerald, which it can do, just shove a little bit of cadmium red in. And it's nice working wet into wet. So I'm just looking at the reference image just to see where the dark areas are. To create these sort of clusters and layers. I will go a bit darker, and I'll use the cad red and cerulean mix, I think, afterwards. But it's a huge chunk of tree, is this one. In fact, I don't think we've ever done a tree this big as such a expanse of foliage, to be honest. It's a beast. So don't always charge the brush every time it runs out. Let the colour run out a little bit. And redistribute it. I want to get some hanging baskets for the garden now, in the front, because I'm trying to make the front garden just a little bit nicer. I've really neglected it over the last couple of years. So I need to get some hanging baskets in. The back garden nobody sees, only me, so it doesn't really matter what that looks like. But the front garden is visible to everybody who drives to Daventry even, so there's... I need to take a little bit more pride in how everything looks. And this warmer weather's kind of got me, well, the sunnier weather rather than the warmer weather, it's made me feel a little bit more like I want to do stuff. Because I've not really felt like I can be bothered. I'm using the same colour over this side to do little flicks for grass, but this is largely in shadow, so there's not a huge amount of lighter tones in here. So I'm tapping for the left, flicking and scratching for the right hand side. So I'll go a little bit darker, so maybe a little bit more of the ultramarine and a little bit of cadmium red in there. Too much cadmium red and it'll go purple, but that's, you know, that's copeable. You don't want to add too many shades of different mixes into the one tree, because obviously the leaves are just going to be lighter and darker versions of the same colour. So if we started introducing a different blue, it would feel a little bit weird. We've noticed a massive drop in our scamming on our live demonstration since we stopped calling it free. It's a huge drop. We don't have anybody now, but the trouble is we have about 50% fewer people joining the demo because it's not heavily promoted as free. But I guess we just get the ones that are really interested and not just those that want to kill 20 minutes or 45 minutes while they're waiting for their washing to finish a cycle or whatever. So we're going a little bit darker in there. I will go really dark, I think, with cad red and cerulean, or I could use ultramarine and cad red if I wanted to keep it a bit of a warm. Maybe I'll use that, because we've already introduced those colours. Because I've got to crack on with this. I'm having a lovely time having a paint, and I've been doing this for 20 minutes now. Mind you, we've covered quite a lot of ground in 20 minutes, so I won't beat myself up too much yet. And this is all just going to be wet in wet, so I'm using my squirrel. Now, I've just spotted, because I'm not looking at anything, you know me, there is some blue-green foliage up here. And there is more. You see, that's not dry at all over this side. Isn't that interesting? The bit I did on the top of the bridge, not dry at all. So I'm going to keep plugging away at the darks. Let's do cadmium red and ultramarine to make a bit of purple, because that's going to be our shadow colour for the bridge as well. Bit of an aubergine colour, so it might as well use that in our trees, because it's nice and dark. You know I like me darks. My dark is worse than me light. So again, I'm letting the this darker purple colour just run out a little bit, so I can use it in other places. So it's less harsh. Just a few little dots here and there, just to keep it feeling foliage like everywhere, because I've got to remember as well that the light is coming from the right, and that's the crucial thing. I don't think I want to do any more darks in there, because I think it'll just end up being very dark and I'll lose the light if I'm not careful. So I'm going to let's keep that dark there. There's a hint of dark there as well. Something like that. I'm going to get the hairdryer on this so I can start plotting in all the ochre colours. As long as the bits that are dry on the areas that I need them to be dry, we should be alright with that, just because of time. So let me go with some yellow ochre, or maybe a bit of lemon yellow in there, because I can always darken later. Might as well just do it all with or as much as I can with the squirrel brush for speed today. Let's big up the versatility of the squirrel. So this is just yellow ochre with a little bit of lemon yellow, so it's nice and light because of the sunshine. I will use a little bit of this just on the riverbank underneath, even though there's going to be some darks in there as well. And on some of the stones where the light is hitting them. It's all about the planning, I think, with watercolours, isn't it? If you just spend a few minutes just looking at your lights and your darks, it might make life a bit easier to where everything goes. So I'll darken the shape of a lot of these stones with a darker tone, but obviously you have to work from lights to dark with watercolour, so that is what we'll do. Right, hairdryer time. Still got really soggy foliage on the left hand side here. Let's mix up a slightly darker colour, so maybe yellow ochre, a little bit of burnt sienna, and then I'll throw in a touch of ultramarine. Oh yeah, it's nice. And I can start maybe a bit more ultramarine. Yeah, that's better. I've forgotten what castle or what ruin this is. But this bridge is quite a famous pictorial spot, really. If you Google the River Swale, you'll just get loads of versions of this. Rinse that off a little. I just want little textured bits on the wall, just so it feels more stone-like rather than one constant colour. But I will now use the same mixes, so that's the yellow ochre, the ultramarine and the burnt sienna, to start working on the bridge. There is going to be darks in here as well, but it's just a good way of indicating where everything's going. Maybe use some of the darker colour to give a hint of shadow, but then mark in some of the stones. So I'm not re-wetting my brush and recolouring it. I'm just letting it run out and doing a few little lines and streaks and stripes. I'll shove some more green over the top of some of this stonework later. Not there's a huge amount of later left, but maybe a little bit under here. Dark. I'm using this as not necessarily as a shadow colour, even just as a tint for some of the same stones, or even some newer shapes that I haven't drawn. But I'm making sure I'm curving everything towards the left hand side, so it starts to feel like we've got light and shadow. So this isn't our real darks yet. That will all start coming into play once the reflection's in, I think. But it certainly helps give us that a little bit of texture. For stones and stuff. It's looking all right, I suppose. I'm going to go and make the Cad Red Ultramarine Shadow colour, because I want to do all of the solid stuff first before I jump into the reflection. Oh, I still have a bit of phthalo blue in there because I'm running out of ultramarine, and I've got a lot of that left over. Purple and orange are complementary opposites, so you'll get a nice brown when you put it over the ochre colour, so that's quite nice. Flick downwards on this left hand shadow arch, and that will give us the light of the grass underneath. Maybe we'll go a little bit darker there. I do love darks, they do make such a difference to a picture. So this purple colour, I'm just going to keep sticking in loads of different places, to be honest. Let's redefine that waterline. Maybe there's some darker, scratchier stone area stuff over there that we can't really tell what it is, but we know there's something there. Same for over here. So we haven't finished with the darks because obviously we've got more things to add in terms of darks in the reflections as well. So it's all about, once you've picked your palette, keeping it fairly limited and you know, working on the restrictions a little bit more. Oh, I've got to go and let Jackie in. I didn't think she'd be back this early. Right, be back in a minute. Oof, I'm back. The darks are starting to really bring it all forward now, which is what we want. I don't want it too blue. And keeping it really dark around the waterline. However, you might want to darken that after you've put a lot of the reflection on, because it will make a big difference to how the whole. So the small stones and whatnot I'm not going to touch until after the water's gone on. For time, I've got about 5 minutes or so left. I think I'm going to have to take a little bit longer than that. Not much. Because I started, I think, about 10 past, didn't I? Right, let's get the hairdryer on that. Still got some areas of foliage that are soaking wet. You know, one thing I didn't do when I sketched it all out was the top of the bridge, which is a little bit foolish. Right, I think that's it. Right, so what I'm going to do now is wet the water with water. And you can really decide at this point, and again it will depend on your painting this far into the scene, that if you've got a very light colour, then you can make your reflection darker. If you've got quite a dark, vibrant area of colour, for your land, you can make your reflection a little bit darker. But since there's lots of colour going in this, it's a bit like doing a wet in wet sky. You need to make sure you've got plenty of moisture on there. You can see my dark lines have run a little bit, but that's okay. Right, we had both blues, didn't we? And when I do reflection, I always do my strokes horizontally, because I just find that easier. And it looks a little bit wetter. So once I've done the reflection, I will firm up some darks, and then it should be done. So we've got a big tree there. There's no blue in that bit at all. It's all greens, isn't it? Maybe I'm gonna do the ochre colour of the bridge next. Castle's not really reflected hardly at all in this, which is kind of cool. You'll get a bit of turquoise going in where your reflections run. But that's alright, we can cope with that, can't we? There's a hint of let's put a little bit of that there. And then we can really throw the greens into the colour. So let's go lots of lemon yellow to start with. Slightly darker green, a bit more ultramarine. Keeping it quite light and loose. I will be adding more darks, as I say. I've got a little thin area of white where, in places where the land meets the reflection. And then I'll be adding more darks. Well, we had that purple, didn't we? Let's make a bit more purple for right under here, because that can really spread. Need a bit more blue in that purple, a bit too red. Mother's Day, Easter, last one to do. this. It'll probably run a little, but that's all right. Right, get the hairdryer on this, and then I just need to redefine some of the stones, and then it should be done. Massive puddle right on the edge. If I don't get it dried, I'll end up with a massive cauliflower. I'll leave those two little bits of puddles, because otherwise I think I'll be dry until next Christmas. Right, purple again. Redefine darks. Maybe a few stones with a flat bottom. The water. Nearly done. did say there's just a few more little green bits to add on the bridge, bit of foliage. So let's quickly go with our lemon. Maybe I'll go with a little bit of phthalo in there just to make a slightly brighter green, because it's got to mix with the ochre on the over there, and that'll go a bit more dull. Lots of taps and dots and whatnots. I don't think I can do any more to this, you know. I could, if I want to make the water feel like it's moving slightly, just lift out a few lines, cut across. You don't want to go too heavy with this, but so we're kind of lifting out really. I do think it does make a water feel glassy. And then if I quickly dry it, then I can maybe use a bit of gel pen just around the water's edge just to make it work, and then that'll be me done. Squiggles of gel pen. I've been putting some of the gel pen lines on while I was hair drying, but hopefully that's lifted it and moved it about and made it feel a little bit more alive. Right, I'm going to stop there. I've enjoyed that. Slightly over 45 minutes, but I know you don't mind. Next week is, we're doing a little Scottish croft with a washing line on the Isle of Tiree. And we're going to do that in acrylics, so that'll be really lovely to work with. And coming up this week, so tonight we're doing Pink Blossom in watercolour. What date is it? It's the 9th next. So we're doing Buttermere and Reflections Tuesday afternoon. We are doing Wednesday afternoon is Deer in pencil. Thursday morning is we're adding scenes to a figure in watercolour. No, figures to a scene in watercolour. We're not adding scenes to a figure. Thursday afternoon is a view of Yorkshire, of miles and miles and miles. And Friday afternoon is snow. Oh, figure in the snow at sunset. Figure or stag. And then we've got calligraphy on Saturday, which is Gothic, black letter, and the watercolour class on Sunday is Ben Lawyer's Mountain, which we did, I think, on a Monday here before. So thanks ever so much for joining me. It's been lovely to have your company today, and I hope you have a really nice week ahead. And I'm sure I'll see plenty of you online over the next week or so. But if not, I'll see you next Monday. Take care. Have a great week, and I will see you all soon. Bye bye, everybody. Bye bye.